Hello and welcome to Sideline Story, your destination for sports news, analysis and discussions. I'm Yang Guang. This week we touch on the hot topics in the NBA. What is the situation of Chinese rookie Yang Hansen? Are the Dallas Mavericks enduring chaos amid team managers sacking? To unpack the questions, I'm joined here with my fantastic co-hosts Tian Yu and Brandon Yates. Alright, let's start with the curious case of Chinese big man Yang Hansen. He entered the league with a lot of expectations from Chinese fans, but has been dropped out of the team rotation lately.
Yes.
He has been put in the development league several times already and didn't play a single minute in the past 5 or 6 NBA games. Now the big question is, what's the path for him going forward? Tianyu, were our expectations too high? Do you think he can still crack into, the Trailblazers rotation this season?
Well, it's hard to tell from the time being because Yang Hansen's had a few DNPs in a row lately. And even though, we Chinese fans kind of saw this coming when Portland first signed him, but it's still really tough to accept that a CBA star like Yang Hansen might end up with no real place in the NBA. Emotions aside, I think the truth is Yang still has a really long way to go before he can earn a spot in this Blazers squad. Because one big issue of him is his physicality. Because he struggles a bit with body contact, so he often has to foul to stop his opponents. And on top of that, Portland's been leaning heavily into a small ball strategy.
Yeah.
The pace is faster and the spacing is wider, and Yang Hansen is still catching up to that speed and intensity of the game. So his stamina and conditioning need some work to really fit the Blazers system. And I have to say, in today's NBA, most teams kind of want their big men to be blue-collar role players, grab rebounds, set screening, and do the dirty work. And if they can really stretch the floor and hit some threes, that's just a bonus. So right now, Portland's got 4 centers. Donovan Clingan's the clear starter. And in the last couple of games, Stuart Breathe, who is Yang Hansen's former teammate in the CBA, he has actually been a very solid off the bench because he can defend well and shoot better from the outside. Also, with Robert Williams healthy again, I think it's really hard to see where Yang Hansen might fit into the rotation at this point. But that said, I think Yang Hansen's getting drafted into the NBA is already a huge achievement and something Chinese fans can be really proud of. His soft touch, passing vision, and spacing ability all shows how his real potential. But for now, I have to say the reality is that he's still not quite ready for consistent minutes in the NBA.
Right. You mentioned the other 3 centers within the Portland Trailblazers squad. I think all of them have clear roles within the team. Reese as a bench player, he can shoot threes, he can guard the small guards, and Clingan and Robert Williams, they are excellent rim protectors. But Yang Hansen, I don't see his clear role within the team. It's like his game style doesn't really match the Trailblazers' game strategy right now. So, Brandon, do you think the Blazers should be patient enough to see Yang Hansen as a developmental project? Is there a realistic path for him to earn some meaningful minutes this season?
So I think Portland are definitely being patient with Yang Hansen's development. I think it's Chinese fans that are not. And I think that might be, look at it, well, it definitely is totally understandable. I think there was totally understandable, massive amounts of excitement coming from Chinese fans once he was drafted in the NBA. And like Tianyu mentioned, being drafted at such an early age and from the CBA is a massive achievement in its own. And I think if we're all honest with ourselves, I think where he was drafted so early on in the draft was a massive surprise. Because of that, early draft number, fans' expectations for him in his first season were probably a lot higher than they should have been. I don't think there's any concern from Yang Hansen or his team. And more importantly, I think that Portland, when they drafted him, were drafting him based on potential and as a long-term project, as opposed to somebody that was going to come in and fill gaps in the short term and just be an immediate starter, and someone that was going to, or just someone that was going to come in and have immediate impact on a very established NBA franchise. The key takeaway probably for Yang Hansen, I think at this point and in his first season over there, is that I think it's, not to be seen as, oh, this is not the greatest start for him in the NBA. I think the main thing is that he's over there in the US. He's with a very established franchise, and I think that he's being seen by Portland as a development rookie that's in the mix. So I think that they definitely drafted him to be or they see him as, a long-term upside. I think that, his shot creation, his passing abilities for a big, and his rim protection abilities and all of that, those talents have been identified. But I think that Portland are definitely going to control his minutes, and they're going to use the G League to accelerate his readiness for the NBA going forward. So at this point, his NBA minutes are going to be limited, but I think the main thing is that Portland eye him as a long-term project, and they've identified his talent and his potential. I think it's going to probably take a season or two to kind of establish what his role within the franchise is going to be. But the main thing is that I think Yang Hansen and critically Portland themselves are being patient with his development.
Right. In the limited minutes of Yang Hansen in the NBA games, we haven't seen his playmaking skills.
Yeah, being maximized.
Yeah. The tag of Yang Hansen in the NBA draft and the preseason games. I think what matters now is confidence.
Yeah.
I think the Portland Trail Blazers controlled his minutes for that reason, to keep Yang Hansen in an environment that his confidence can grow and won't be harmed by the voice outside. But talking about the voice outside from Chinese fans, there has been some finger pointing towards his professionalism and discipline, some ungrounded accusations.
Yeah.
Well, his speed and athleticism have always been an issue. We noticed he definitely gained some weight lately, which is reportedly aimed at better power and better preparation against other big men in the league. But that kind of, slowed him down on the court. While the Blazers, as you mentioned, pursue faster pace on the court this season. So it's kind of contradictory. But personally, I believe the Blazers want to see how things will go on with Yang Hansen. He might be given a full season, as an observation phase. I mean, during this period, Yang Hansen must earn trust within the team. Jeremy Lin didn't shine in the first season in the NBA. Lin's sanity came 3 or 4 seasons after he started his NBA career. So I believe Yang Hansen will have his moment coming if he keeps working hard. Now, shifting our gears to the Dallas Mavericks. The Mavs aren't having their best time. They are near the bottom of the Western Conference standings. Team manager has been fired. The franchise owner admitted it was a huge mistake to trade Luka Doncic last season. And this season, Anthony Davis' health status isn't stable, and the fans are angry with the team's performance and the results. The team is definitely at a very low point. It seems like the only silver lining is Cooper Flagg now. He's seen as the hope of this franchise now. But Tianyu, is he meeting the expectations right now? Are we looking at a true, franchise-altering talent, or is there any part of his game that, gives us a pause?
Well, I think things are actually trending upwards for Cooper Flagg right now, because you can tell he's getting more comfortable with the NBA pace, the physicality, the spacing, the decision making, and the game against the Bucks were a great example. Actually, there was one play where when he drove right at Giannis Antetokounmpo and finished through contact. And that one play alone showed his confidence and his crazy mix of strength and skill. At first, a lot of people said his performance didn't actually match his drafting hype, which is fair because the expectations were just sky high on him from day one. But I think people forget that he's only still 18 years old. And he was bound to hit some bumps early on, just like every rookie first stepping to the court of NBA. And a big reason for his slow start at the NBA, I would say, was actually the coaching staff used him a bit of out of position. He's naturally more of a forward with his size and his power. And that's where he can use his length and his rebounding and his defensive instincts. But he's being constantly asked in recent games to handle the ball more.
As a point guard.
Yes,
right?
playing more like a point guard. So it's being a really huge adjustment for him. The encouraging sign from him is actually he's learning fast. You can already see his feel for the game is improving. He's reading defenses better, cutting smarter, and his shooting form looks cleaner right now. I think once Kyrie Irving gets fully healthy and takes back some of the ball handling load from him, I think Flagg will be able to play more freely. It's just because the talent of him is right there. So yeah, I think I would say he's actually meeting expectations.
Yeah, if we flash back to Victor Wembanyama's first season in the NBA, I think he got similar numbers with Cooper Flagg now, but look at Wembanyama now. He's truly a superstar. So maybe in 2 or 3 years, we will see the true Cooper Flagg in the league. This is just a start. I think it's a slow start, but it's a good thing for him and Dallas. Brandon, what do you think of Cooper Flagg and the recent chaos at Dallas?
Yeah, look, I think if you recall, I was one of the skeptical analysts when it came to Cooper Flagg being drafted as the #1 pick for Dallas. I think that the hype around him was, I think, a little bit overhyped. Look, I'm a fan. I think he's, incredibly talented on both ends on the court, but I didn't think that he was going to be, particularly at his age, like you guys have mentioned, we get that he's 18 years old. Just to be in the NBA at 18 is pretty crazy on its own. But I never really thought that he was going to be somebody that was going to have an immediate massive impact and become a household name and a superstar from day one, which is what everybody expects from a #1 NBA draft pick. That has happened. I mean, look, he's still probably one of the most talked about, if not the most talked about young players in the NBA, understandably so, being a #1 draft pick and being 18 years old. But, like you guys have mentioned, he's probably been the #1 draft pick that has entered one of the messiest situations that a #1 pick can enter. So, going into that Mavs setup where, they've lost probably the most influential player in Luka Doncic, and the organization has come out and said that was a mistake. They've lost the manager. There's indecision about, where the franchise is going forward. Their key trade that was made in exchange for Luka Doncic and Anthony Davis as an injury concern. Big surprise there. I mean, he's been an injury concern for like the last decade. So things are incredibly messy at the Mavs. But that being said, I think that some of the performances from Cooper Flagg on both ends of the court have been pretty solid, but not really. I don't think he's setting the league alight. Let's put it that way. So I mean, look, he's still getting mid-teen points per game. He's getting 6 to 8 rebounds per game. He's getting assists here and there. So I think overall at this stage, I think his development can be looked as on track, delivering impact and star prospect flashes, but he's definitely and understandably so not yet the finished product. So I think there's been, I think we're being a little bit harsh on him analytically. I think, like I said, that's to be expected for a #1 draft pick. But I think if we just look at him as a young talent that has entered the NBA, I think that he's delivering two-way floor performances that Dallas were expecting from him. So consistent defensive impact, and again, star flashes on offense, which I think, and he's also, of course, still smoothing out typical rookie inconsistencies. I do feel sorry for him because he has entered an incredibly messy organization at this point in time. Sorry, Yang Guang. I think it's going to be a difficult time for the Mavs going forward, but I think they can be confident that they have got themselves a very talented player on both ends of the court. And I think that while he hasn't announced himself yet as an NBA superstar, I think the fact that he is still delivering consistent performances and is kind of carrying a team more so than he was expecting, at such a young age, I think also shows remarkable maturity for such a young man. So I think the fact that he is showing maturity, adaptiveness, as well as impact on both ends of the court, I think that's very exciting for the Mavs and for Cooper himself.
Right. Before we move on, here's a quick review of the biggest sports headlines in China and around the world for the past week. Reigning Olympic tennis champion Zheng Qinwen withdrew from China's 15th National Games. Zheng had previously signed up to compete in both the women's singles and doubles events. Reports say her right elbow joint was not yet fully recovered, making her unable to meet the demands of intense competition. Zheng underwent elbow surgery in July following a first-round loss at Wimbledon. Manchester City underlined its status as Arsenal's main title rival with a 3-0 home win over Liverpool in English Premier League. Pep Guardiola celebrated his 1,000th game as a coach, as his side dominated a Liverpool team that had impressed against Real Madrid in midweek.
Really pleased for the game. Just thank you for the players, staff to give me that incredible present, to win the most important opponent that we faced in our time here, 10 years. So by far, it has been nice playing against them.
City is now second in the standings, trailing leaders Arsenal by 4 points. Sao Paulo midfielder Oscar was hospitalized after suffering cardiac complications during a fitness test. The 34-year-old was taken to hospital after collapsing during an interval test on an exercise bike. Local media reported that the veteran playmaker lost consciousness for around 2 minutes. Reports say Oscar could retire soon with the condition. McLaren's Lando Norris seized the initiative in the Formula One World Championship with a dominant win at the Brazilian Grand Prix. Norris' second consecutive win came as teammate and chief title rival Oscar Piastri was hampered by a 10-second penalty for causing a collision and could only finish fifth.
McLaren are doing an amazing job, giving me a great car. We're pushing hard every single weekend, and I'm pushing hard away from the track, so rewarding. It doesn't come easy, that's for sure.
An inspired drive from Red Bull's Max Verstappen saw the Dutchman rise from the pit lane to finish third, just behind the Mercedes' Kimi Antonelli. Norris now leads Piastri by 24 points to top the driver's standings. The NBA unveiled a new All-Star Game format that will incorporate US and world teams. For the mid-season exhibition on February 15th, one squad of international players and 2 teams of US players will compete in a round-robin format. Each game will last 12 minutes. The top 2 teams after the round-robin will meet in the finale. Los Angeles Clippers veteran guard Bradley Beal has been diagnosed with a left hip fracture and will miss the remainder of the season. Beal, who had been returning from off-season knee surgery, is expected to meet a full recovery in 6 to 9 months. Beal was averaging career lows with 8.2 points and 1.7 assists in 6 games this season. Welcome back. Dallas is already regretting on Luka Doncic's trade, but on the other side, the LA Lakers are fully exploiting this trade, and they are quite happy this season.
Yeah.
The Lakers are riding on a good momentum with Doncic and Austin Reeves putting up solid numbers every night.
Yeah.
But let's not forget, we're talking about the LA Lakers without LeBron James right now. He's about to return to the team soon. I just don't know how things will go then with the Lakers, because I think they have built a quite good chemistry revolving around Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves. So do you see LeBron's return as a stabilizing force, an upgrade to the team, or a potential limit to their roster?
Well, actually, I would say it's actually a boost for the Lakers. Because, I think, like you said, the Lakers have been playing surprisingly well to start the season without LeBron James. They've battled through some tough games, like they took down the Timberwolves twice and stopped the Spurs' hot streak. And also, they grabbed a confident win over the Miami Heat. Not many people expected them to do so well early, especially without LeBron James. And behind this winning streak, I think Luka is definitely getting all the spotlight because he's being a monster lately. On top of these positive signs, I think the weaker spot of the Lakers is still their defense. That's where LeBron's return and can actually make a real difference in the team. Because I think he's still one of the smartest defenders in the league, because he always reads plays before they happen. Now with Luka and Reeves shouldering more of the offensive load, I think LeBron doesn't have to burn himself out in every game trying to do everything for the team. Now he can focus more on leadership, organizing the defense, and picking his moments to attack. So yeah, I think overall his return is a big boost to the Lakers, because I think he gives them structure and just the veteran voice when the team need him the most, when things get tighter later in the season.
Brandon, Luka Doncic is making some statement lately with his stellar performance. It's like, okay, it's my team now. Do you think LeBron James, when he returns, he will have second opinion about that? Do you think his return is a boost or will create some X factors?
Look, I think it's a tricky thing, because ultimately I think it's going to come down to LeBron and JJ Redick. I think that it's going to be an ongoing conversation between the two men in terms of what his impact is going to be. Look, I think ultimately it is going to come down to the coach and, how he reintroduces LeBron and what he feels LeBron's role this season is going to be. But that being said, with someone like LeBron James, who has been the dominant force in the NBA for 20 years now, and is, the leading scorer and, the leading, minutes on the court, and, one of the greatest NBA stars of all time. I think that he has more of a voice within the franchise than any other player in the league right now, even though he is, nearing the end of his career and, could come into a franchise where he may disrupt the current flow of things and the unbelievable chemistry that the Lakers have right now, and also the incredible output that the Lakers are getting from all of their key players, but in particular Luka Doncic, who, like you guys have already said, is just absolutely delivering on all fronts for Los Angeles, and I think is establishing, at least announcing himself as, arguably the greatest player in the league right now. So I think that from LeBron's side, I'm hoping, and I'm sure Lakers fans are also hoping, that he comes back with a mentality of humility. It's quite difficult to say where he stands mentally, because I think that at the end of his career, he will obviously want to, have as much of an impact as possible and not, be sidelined and waste time and, potentially miss out on the final best years of what he can deliver. But at the same time, I think he's very excited to be a part of a franchise that is playing so well right now. And whatever role that he can deliver as a incredibly experienced and talented NBA playing force, I think is going to be good for him and the Lakers. So I'm hoping that he goes in there with the mentality of he offers so much in terms of experience, leadership, closing abilities, effectiveness on both ends of the court, and I think can be an incredible, not a player that they rely on for every minute of every game and to deliver the key performances when it matters, but I think that he can be the sort of player that delivers a role when needed. And I think on either end of the court, I think that is something that LeBron James can really do. And I think that that's something that the Lakers could really use right now. So JJ Redick and LeBron James will be incredibly aware of what is working for the Lakers right now. And I don't think that either, obviously the player himself, who's already achieved everything in the league, I don't think he's going to want to come in and disrupt things going well for his franchise. And I don't think he's going to want to come in and disrupt that team chemistry. And I'm sure he's fully aware of that team chemistry right now. And that's something that you don't really want to mess with, because it even though you might come in and get more minutes, if you're coming in and getting more minutes, but also disrupting the team's flow and reducing your chances of getting to, conference finals or an NBA final, you're not going to want to do that, especially if you're coming to the tail end of your career. So I'm sure LeBron James is coming in and just saying, look, I'm back. I'm here to help the team where I can. And, JJ Redick and, Doncic and all of you guys, feel free to implement me into the team where you feel like I can be used best and where I can actually enhance things rather than hinder progress. But I think that someone like him that has so much experience and has achieved everything imaginable, I think that he is willing to put his ego to the side, do what is best for the franchise. And I think no matter how many minutes he gets or what role he plays, if he can contribute to the Lakers going as far as possible in this season, which could be his last or second last season in the NBA, I think he's going to want to play that role no matter what it is.
Right. I think what LeBron James wants the most right now is that fifth ring.
Yeah.
So he might as well drop that argument about who owns this team, but to focus on his contribution to the team on the road to that fifth championship. Finally, let's talk about who's building a real head of steam in the early season. Forget the paper lineups. Tianyu, which team has the best momentum right now?
I would say definitely OKC. They've been really crazy because, SGA still being lethal, dropping almost 30 almost every night. And Chet Holmgren is also still being the definite anchor for the team, doing almost a bit of everything. And what makes this team even scarier is that they actually completed a near perfect record without key guys like Jalen Williams and Dort. So that just shows how complete this team is right now. So yeah, I think OKC is definitely one of the top title contenders this season.
Right. Brandon, very briefly, which team is catching your attention right now?
I think the obvious choice is OKC, right? Yeah. I think absolutely dominance on all areas. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander still dominating things. Look, I think there's been a couple of other teams that have stood out here and there. Cleveland, Golden State, and a couple of others have surprised a few pundits, I suppose. But man, I think OKC are looking even stronger this season than last season, which is an incredibly scary prospect for any franchise that they come up against. So yeah, I think OKC once again are looking like the absolute dominant team in the NBA right now and are very much on course to defend their title. I know it's early days, but for a team that won pretty relatively put out a really strong statement when they won the league last season, to be looking even stronger going into the following season is a very scary prospect for the league.
Yeah, I remembered a journalist asked OKC's manager, what's the mentality of your team this season? And he said, we just forgot about last season's championship. We assumed we lost to the Denver Nuggets in the Western Conference last season. That's
scary.
Yeah, very scary team. All right, let's see how the season will progress with OKC and other powerhouses. And of course, Yang Hansen, Chinese big man. With that, we end this episode of Sideline Story. Thank you so much for joining us. Subscribe to Sideline Story and leave your comments wherever you listen to podcasts. For more information, you can also check our website at radio.cgtn.com. Until next time, stay on the sidelines with us.